the title Defense Minister, Minister for Defense, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State for Defense, Secretary of National Defense or some similar variation, is assigned to the person in a cabinet position in charge of a Ministry of Defense, which regulates the armed forces in sovereign states. The role of a defense minister varies considerably from country to country. In some, the minister is only in charge of general budget matters and procurement of equipment, while in others the minister is also, in addition, an integral part of the operational military chain of command. Prior to the 20th century, there were in most countries separate ministerial posts for the land forces and the naval forces. Since the end of World War II, the title has changed from war to defense, and has often involved putting a single defense minister in charge of all the armed forces. Another common reform which occurred at the end of World War II was to place the defense minister in a National Security Council, War Cabinet, or a kitchen cabinet, which allows the head of government or head of state to coordinate military, diplomatic and economic activities. The defense ministry in some countries is a very important ministry, sometimes considered more important than the foreign ministry. If war is common for a country, the defense minister's position is often assumed by the head of government ministry during their premiership. In many nations it is a strong convention that the defense minister be a civilian, in order to highlight civilian control over the military. In less democratic countries, the minister is often an active military official. People's Republic of China. The People's Republic of China is very unusual in that the Ministry of National Defense is relatively powerless. It does not have command over the People's Liberation Army. Command of the military belongs in the party and in the State Central Military Commission. The MND exists primarily as a liaison and protocol office to communicate with foreign militaries. Essentially, the MND exists only because most other nations have defense ministries, and for protocol and liaison purposes, the PRC needs to have an institution corresponding with those of other governments. However, the Minister of National Defense is always a CMC member and usually a vice chairman and state councillor, is an authoritative position. In ancient China, this office was variously referred to as the Grand Marshal, Grand Commandant, Grand Protector or the Troop Minister. List of defense ministries or departments. Albania, Ministry of Defense. Armenia, Defense Ministry. Australia, Minister for Defense. Austria, Ministry of National Defense and Sport. Azerbaijan, Ministry of Defense. Belgium, Ministry of Defense. Bosnia and Herzegovina, Ministry of Defense. Brazil, Ministry of Defense. Bulgaria, Ministry of Defense. Cambodia, Ministry of National Defense. Canada, Minister of National Defense. Chile, Ministry of National Defense. China, two governments use China in their name, a People's Republic of China, Ministry of National Defense of the People's Republic of China, a Republic of China, Ministry of National Defense. Colombia, Ministry of National Defense. Croatia, Ministry of Defense. Cyprus, Minister of Defense. Czech Republic, Ministry of Defense. Democratic Republic of Congo, Minister of Defense. Denmark, Minister of Defense. Egypt, Minister of Defense and Military Production. Estonia, Minister of Defense. Finland, Minister of Defense. France, Minister of Defense. Germany, Federal Ministry of Defense. Prussia, Minister of War. Greece, Minister for National Defense. Hong Kong, Secretary for Defense, renamed Secretary for Security in 1973. Hungary, Minister of Defense. Indonesia, Minister of Defense. India, Minister of Defense. Ireland, Minister for Defense. Israel, Ministry of Defense. Italy, Minister of Defense. Japan, Minister of Defense. Lithuania, Ministry of National Defense. Macedonia, Minister of Defense. Mexico, Secretariat of National Defense. Netherlands, Ministry of Defense. New Zealand, Minister of Defense. Norway, Minister of Defense. Pakistan, Defense Minister. People's Republic of China, Ministry of National Defense. Peru, Ministry of Defense. Philippines, Department of National Defense. Poland, Ministry of National Defense. Portugal, Ministry of National Defense. Republic of China, Ministry of National Defense, a Romania, Ministry of National Defense, a Russia, Ministry of Defense, a Soviet Union, Minister of Defense, Russian Empire, list of heads of the military of Imperial Russia. A Serbia, Minister of Defense, a Singapore, Ministry for Defense, a Somalia, Ministry of Defense, a South Africa, Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, a Spain, Ministry of Defense, a Sri Lanka, Ministry of Defense, a Sweden, Minister for Defense, a Switzerland, member of the Federal Council heading the Federal Department of Defense, Civil Protection and Sports, formerly Federal Military Department. A Tajikistan, Ministry of Defense, a Thailand, Ministry of Defense, a Tonga, Minister of Defense, a Turkey, Ministry of National Defense, a United Kingdom, Secretary of State for Defense, a United States, Secretary of Defense, a Vietnam, Ministry of Defense, see also, Chief of Defense, Department of Defense, Department of Defense also as Tim Howard. References: Defense Minister of Tajikistan to meet with CIS colleagues in Moscow. Avesta. Retrieved July 26, 2014 A.